Hello, it's Friday the 20th of February. You're tuned in to our 6 p.m. newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. It's great to have you with us on this final day of the Lunar New Year holiday. I'm Mark Broom. And the Lunar New Year holiday is practically over by the weekend. Millions of Koreans have spent the last 3 days travelling back to their hometowns and paying their respects to their ancestors and elders. One of the ways people in Korea do this is by preparing foods such as Tteokguk, which you can see there. It's a kind of rice cake soup, which Koreans eat to mark the fact they have turned 1 year older. Events have been held around the country for Koreans, expats and tourists to enjoy the traditional aspects of the Lunar New Year holiday, from the food to the games families play over the holiday period. Now, in regards to the situation on the nation's expressways, the main routes back into Seoul are fairly congested, as you would imagine. The estimated travel time from the southern port city of Busan to the capital currently stands at 5.5 hours. From Gwangju in the southwest, it will take you slightly under 6 hours, while from Gangneung on the east coast to Seoul, you'll be looking at 4 hours. Real-time traffic information can be found on roadplus.co.kr. Now, North Korea is not the most common travel destination for tourists, it's fair to say. While the country remains closed to foreign visitors due to Pyongyang's concerns about Ebola, recent photos taken by tourists provide us with a rare view into the daily lives of ordinary North Koreans. Our Hwang Sang-hee reports.
Take a quick look at Pyongyang's skyline, and it seems like just another modern city. These plush skyscrapers are believed to have been built about 3 years ago. Propaganda posters idolizing Kim Jong-un are plastered almost everywhere. A reminder that this is North Korea. On the streets are new electric buses and Japanese-made cars. A line of commuters heading to work in the morning is another familiar scene. Traffic girls are a popular icon among tourists, so popular that traffic girl dolls are sold as souvenirs. Mom-and-pop stores are dotted around Pyongyang's residential areas. Some of the goods on sale include fake South Korean snacks. A bottle of Pyongyang soju will cost you less than $1. A bottle of brandy goes for 30 times that. And takeout food is just too costly for the average North Korean worker. Leaving the hustle and bustle of the city and heading into the countryside, the wealth gap is instantly noticeable just from the way people dress. Children observe foreigners with their innocent eyes, curious yet wary. Students packed on the back of a pickup truck are all smiles as they make their way to school. Down by the stream, some people wash their clothes, while others give themselves a scrub. The faces of the farmers reflect their tough day-to-day lives. These rare photos serve as a window, offering a peek into the world's most closed state. Hwang Sang-hee, Arirang News.
Now, a group of disabled students from North Korea will perform in Europe starting this week, marking the first such event overseas. DULA International, a non-profit charity organisation registered with the British government, says 11 North Korean students between the ages of 11 and 20 will stage a series of performances in Britain and France. The students will be performing traditional Korean songs as well as Western music, like the Phantom of the Opera. Reports have long emerged that North Korea has been systematically purging its disabled population. Experts say the move is likely part of the regime's attempts to counter international pressure over its shocking human rights record. Now, the Japanese government may allow the overseas dispatch of its self-defense forces, even without the support of the UN Security Council. Local media reported this on Thursday, citing a government source that said Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is looking into a permanent law that would allow Japanese troops to be dispatched whenever Tokyo feels it is necessary. The source also added that the government is planning to lift a ban on providing weapons and ammunition to foreign troops. Japan's current constitution bans Tokyo from using force to settle international disputes, and also bans it assisting other countries engaged in military operations. Now, a major offensive is being prepped to oust the extremist Islamic State group from one of its strongholds in Iraq. A US official says well over 20,000 Iraqi and Kurdish troops will be used to liberate Mosul, which has been under Islamic State control for around 9 months now. Our Connie Lee has this report.
It's a major plan to retake an Iraqi city from the militant group that calls itself Islamic State. An unnamed official from U.S. Central Command says a joint Iraqi-Kurdish military force of up to 25,000 soldiers, backed by U.S. forces, is being prepared to retake Mosul from the extremists. The militants, weakened in recent weeks, have been dealing with airstrikes like these over the past few days. The combined joint task force said 15 airstrikes were conducted between Wednesday and Thursday on Iraqi cities, including places near Mosul. The plan to retake Mosul is currently being readied for sometime in April or May, according to the U.S. official. This is before Ramadan, which starts in June, and before the summer heat becomes problematic. The U.S. official says all fighters will be trained by U.S. forces before taking on the estimated 1,000 to 2,000 IS militants controlling the city. According to Reuters, Iraqi security troops will make up the primary attack force, while Kurdish troops will approach the city from the north. Mosul, Iraq's second largest city of more than 1 million residents, fell into IS hands last June. If the plan is successful, experts say it will deal a crushing blow to IS, which calls Mosul the capital of a self-declared caliphate. Connie Lee, Arirang News.
Now, the ceasefire agreement between Ukraine and Russia is all but history as the boom of explosions and crackle of gunfire continues to ring around eastern Ukraine. The renewed fighting further violates a truce that was supposed to have come into force last Sunday, as pro-Russian rebels captured the strategically important eastern Ukrainian town of Debaltseve on Thursday. One of their leaders claimed his forces had killed more than 3,000 Ukrainian troops, but nothing has been confirmed as yet by Kiev. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko has called for the deployment of UN peacekeepers to monitor this so-called ceasefire, but there appears little international appetite for that. The war in eastern Ukraine has killed more than 5,500 people and forced over 1 million civilians from their homes since fighting began last April. Now, new satellite images show China's efforts to build several new military outposts on top of a reef in the South China Sea are beginning to take serious shape now. Pictures released by research company Jane's Defense shows that dredging and sand reclamation over the last 12 months at a shoal in the Spratly Islands has created a 75,000 square metre island with 2 piers, a helicopter pad and what looks like an anti-aircraft tower or radar facility. Now, the Spratly Islands are surrounded by fertile fishing grounds and rich oil and gas reserves. US officials worry the build-up indicates a Chinese push to establish de facto control over the waters and islets, also claimed by the Philippines, Malaysia, Taiwan, Brunei and Vietnam. Now, talks in Brussels later today could lay the path for Greece's future as the South European country renegotiates the terms of its massive financial rescue package. Other countries aren't so sure, but Greece says it thinks all the conditions are in place now for a mutually beneficial solution to the issue. The latest crisis centres on a bailout worth more than $195 billion US, but that deal is due to expire next Saturday, February 28th. Athens wants the loans to be extended for 6 months. In exchange, the new Greek government has offered concessions such as curbing spending and agreeing to be supervised by international institutions. Today's meeting is the Eurozone's 3rd attempt to reach a deal to manage Greece's debt, and a decision must be unanimous. Now back here in Korea, and extended holiday periods like Lunar New Year are the ideal time to indulge in some cultural activities. And we've been introducing you to a few different things over the past couple of days. But today, our Park Ji-won is going to tell us about a few photo exhibitions worth checking out over the weekend. So why don't we take a look?
This exhibition is a love letter to planet Earth. Acclaimed Brazilian documentary photographer Sebastião Salgado introduces us to some of Earth's most unspoiled regions and life with over 200 pictures.
We went to see the planet. We did a kind of love letter to the planet.
The 71-year-old traveled to more than 120 countries over an 8-year period to take pictures for his exhibition.
We will not survive if you don't come back to our planet. We are nature. We are an animal.
The exhibition, which opened in mid-October, was supposed to end in mid-January, but thanks to rave reviews, it has been extended until the end of February. Over 250 photos by late French photographer Henri Cartier-Bresson, who's considered the father of photojournalism, are also being exhibited in Seoul. Photos from the 1930s to the late 1990s, mostly of landscapes, are also being displayed, including works never before seen in Korea. The Cartier-Bresson exhibition is the largest to be held in Korea since the legendary photographer's death in 2004. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Looks good. Now, before we go, taking a brief look at the weather here in Korea, and we've got a relatively mild late February night in store with the overnight low only dipping to 5 degrees Celsius in Seoul. Saturday will start off overcast, but rain is in the forecast for the central region from around lunchtime. Sunday, the final day of the long holiday break, will be sunny, but a lot colder than today. Finally, let's take a look at the weather conditions around the world. And that's all we have for now. Do enjoy the rest of your Lunar New Year holiday. And if you are making a trip later, please drive safely. We'll be back again with our next newscast at 10 p.m. Korea time. So until then, goodbye.